You're listening to Mitch's 미친 영어 audio podcast. This is the official audio podcast companion to Mitch's 미친 영어 application, as well as Mitch's daily English neighbor blog and Facebook page. Improving your English listening skills one podcast at a time.
Just a memory of a kid, just a washed up finish. Just a pain in the ass, Johnny Cash, middle finger. No shooting up drugs, no quitter is a winner. Nothing ever comes like it did when you were in it. Keeping nothing for yourself like a stone cold.
It's the week of Friday, April 19th. Hello, everybody. Happy springtime. How are you? My name is Mitch, and this is my podcast, Mitch's 미친 영어, because English is crazy, and I am too, and so are you, because we're studying English together. This is my podcast where we talk about all of the things that I posted on the blog this week. My blog is Mitch's Daily English. If you go there and find it, you can find my blog posts that I do every day. And it's a good place for you to be able to practice English and study English and, learn some things, learn some cultural things. We talk a lot about culture on my blog, pop culture in particular, because, as I've said many times, when you study English, you should learn about culture. They go together. Learning a language and learning culture, including pop culture, they go hand in hand. They go hand in hand. There's a phrase for you. That means they go together. They go together. So you should learn about culture, and you should learn about pop culture, things that are happening right now in the world around us, because these are the things people talk about. When you meet foreigners, when you meet native English speakers, they're probably going to be talking about these things. They probably won't talk about K-pop, although they might, okay? Especially now, BTS, of course, is huge. You can talk about BTS with a lot of foreigners, okay? They were just on SNL. I saw this week in America, SNL, it's a, Saturday Night Live, very famous show. They have a Korean version too, but the US version, this is like the place. If you are a musician, if you are an artist, and you get to play on SNL, that's the top of the top. And BTS was there last week. They were on the show. They did a good job. So there's an example of something, maybe Korean pop culture, that you could bring up in Western culture. A lot of Americans know BTS, that kind of thing. But not everybody. And, let's say you're going to Germany or going to England or going to Australia, BTS might not be quite as popular there. I don't know. Maybe they are. Don't get angry at me if you are an ARMY member of the BTS fan club. I'm just saying it's not all about BTS. There are other things to talk about, and foreigners, Western people, native English speakers, they don't always know much about K-pop. Maybe they do. If they do, great. You can talk about that. But there might be other things, other topics. And that's what we do on this podcast. That's what we do on my blog. We talk about the other things, the Western culture things that you might not know about, being in Korea, being Korean. Maybe you didn't hear about some TV shows or some music or some news, some videos that are out there on the web. But I like to find those things for you, things that people are talking about, bring them to you so that you can, expand your conversational vocabulary, as it's kind of figurative way of saying it, but expanding your vocabulary, literally your actual vocabulary, but also the things that you can talk about, the topics, the subjects that you know about in pop culture and in the world, the relevant things. Okay, so that's what we do here. If you're new here, welcome. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. This is where it happens. This is it. This is the place. Every Friday, I put this podcast out on the internet. Pretty much every Friday of the year. Some weeks maybe I'll miss it if I'm traveling, but most of the time I'm right here. I'm right here with you, right here for you. You've got lots of episodes to go and catch up on if you want to, but you don't need to. Okay, a lot of people try to catch up on the past episodes. don't worry about it, because as I said, I'm talking about current things that are happening right now, this week. That's why I said it's the week of April 19th, 2019, right? Because the things we're going to talk about now, in 1 or 2 months, maybe everybody forgot already, so it's not going to be interesting to talk about it. Okay, so that's why this podcast is good to keep up with each week, and you don't need to go back and listen to all of my previous episodes. I didn't say anything that exciting and important, okay? You didn't miss a lot, so you can just start from here. Don't feel like you have to go back and start from the beginning. This is like 182 or 3, I'm not sure, one of the episodes, almost getting to episode 200. So that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff to go back. You don't need to go back and listen to it all, okay? Nobody has that much time. We're all gonna die soon. So just start from this episode, and from now on, we can listen. You can listen to me. We can listen together. Don't worry about catching up. Catching up, right? Do you know what ketchup is? Ketchup, not the stuff you put on your French fries, of course, but catching up means the things you missed from the past. Sometimes you need to catch up, like at work. Maybe you've been late at work, you've been behind, then you need to catch up on your work. Okay, but don't worry about catching up on this podcast. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying just go from today and into the future. Don't worry about the past. Have you been outside lately? It's beautiful outside. Spring has sprung. It's time for spring. The bakgot, the cherry blossoms are out. My university, where I teach, we are having Cherry Blossom Festival yesterday and today, because we were a little late. The university is kind of up on a mountain, so the cherry blossoms didn't come out that quickly, but now they're out, and so the students are all excited, ready to have a Cherry Blossom Festival, and next week they're having midterms, so that's a double problem, because that means they're not at all interested in studying English with me, because they're thinking about the weather, they're thinking about cherry blossoms, they're thinking about midterm exams. They're definitely not thinking about me, but it's okay. I'm used to it. It happens every year, every semester around this time. If you haven't checked out my application, go ahead and check it out. Mitch's Daily English is there, my blog, and also Mitch's 영어 podcast, my YouTube videos. All of it is there. Go to mitchininenglish.com and you can download my application for free. You get access to all of that. If you're interested in really studying English with me, okay, if you think you might be able to really enjoy studying English with me because you like me so much, you listen to my voice and you say, that guy is the one who's going to teach me English, then you can become a subscriber. You can become a monthly subscriber where you will get access to all of my video lessons. I'll teach you how to speak like a native English speaker using real dialogues and real phrases that native English speakers use that a lot of them you probably didn't hear or learn yet. But you will hear them if you watch dramas or movies. If you hear native English speakers speak, you will hear them a lot because we use these phrases very, very often. Okay, so check it out at mitchininenglish.com. You can download it for free and just play around with it. The first few lessons the first lesson is free from the basic subscriber section, so you can play with it and watch the videos and take the quiz and see if you like it before you decide to become a subscriber. And if you do, go ahead and subscribe, and that would be great. All right, everybody. Well, we are gonna talk about some things. That's what we do here, so let's do it. Entertainment Reviews is up first. Last year on the podcast, as I told you, you don't need to go back and catch up on all of the previous podcasts. If I want to reference something from one of the previous podcasts, I will just tell you about it right here. And so today, the recommendation this week on my blog, the TV show that I recommended is a season 2 of a show that I recommended last year. And the last year, the show that I recommended was Atlanta. It's called Atlanta, season 1. And it's an interesting show. Season 1 was very interesting, but season 2 is very interesting. It gets very unique. Unique is the word. Interesting. Strange, a little bit strange. Well, let me just talk about it. First of all, Atlanta season 1. Season 1 was it's a show from the mind of Donald Glover, and Donald Glover is a genius. I'm just going to say, if you don't know who he is, you need to find out. He's a genius. He's a comedian. He's an actor. He's a hip hop artist. He's a songwriter. He's the guy behind Childish Gambino, who did This Is America, which I played on this podcast last year too. It's a song and a music video that last year was it was the #1 video of last year. It's an amazing song and music video. It's called This Is America. This is the guy who does all of that, and he's in some TV shows. He's been in Community, which is a comedy that was out and very successful. He's been in some lots of different things, lots of things. He was a writer. He's a comedy writer on the show 30 Rock. Just so many things. And on this show, this is his own show. He made this show. It's called Atlanta, and it takes place in the city of Atlanta, and it's about him. He's also acting in it, and he is his cousin in the show. It's all about family and friends in the city of Atlanta. It's about the culture of Atlanta and African American culture there. And his cousin is starts doing rap music, hip hop, and he goes under the name Paperboy, and he has a song that starts to get popular. And so Donald Glover's character, he decides to manage him, to become his manager. And neither of them know anything about the music business. They don't know, he doesn't know how to manage him. The other guy doesn't really know how to be an artist. He just has, one song that got very popular. So that's what season 1 is about. And it's funny. It's a comedy. So it's a funny show. Lots of interesting things happen. Now, season 2, Donald Glover decided to get a little bit more creative with the story and with the stylistically. So season 2 is called Robbing Season. And what that means is robbing someone means stealing from them, right? And so it starts off, the whole season starts off with these characters getting robbed, getting people steal from them. And every episode features people getting robbed, someone stealing something from them, and not just things. Sometimes it's more of a symbolic thing, like time. Time is stolen from them, or dignity, or different things like that. Sometimes their life is stolen from them. Every episode has someone being robbed of something. Okay, it's kind of a symbolic thing, and every episode as the season goes on and on, it gets more and more dreamlike. Each episode is kind of like a dream. Things are happening in the story. It's progressing, but each episode kind of goes to a different location, different place, and it's very dreamlike. It's almost sometimes like a nightmare. There's a little bit of horror element to it too, which is unusual for a comedy show. It's not scary, but there's some things that you will recognize as like filmmakers who make horror movies. They do these things, and he does it in this show, and it's very unique. You've never seen anything like this, I promise you. It's very unusual, very creative. As I said, he's a genius. Donald Glover is a genius. And so I really recommend, you should definitely watch season 1 first. Season 1 is kind of a normal comedy. It's unique, but season 2 is from the mind of a genius, and it's just very interesting. It's artistic in a way that you don't usually see in comedy. So I like it, and I think a lot of people are talking about this show in particular, so you should definitely catch up and check it out. Here's the trailer for Atlanta Season 2.
This is Paperboy, and you're tuned into the Fresh Mix Rap playlist. Long live Fresh.
Let's do it again, and just like this time, like you're at a party and everything's crazy.
Hey man, you gotta get up.
What up? You staying here?
Damn, is you the landlord or something?
Robbing season. Everybody gotta eat.
Hey, yo, man, you just take a picture of me.
Gap in the clouds and the sun comes out.
Paperboy in the house.
You're gonna get us robbed.
Well, the trailer doesn't really give a lot away. So, as I said, you need to watch season 1 first and then get into season 2. They're both on Netflix right now in Korea. So, if you have Netflix, you can watch them very easily. It's a good chance to catch up on African American culture, in America if you're interested in that, and it's a good chance to practice English. You can also, as I said with Netflix, you can always turn on the Korean subtitles. There's no shame in that. If you can't understand everything, you can do both, right? So check that out. And here is an interview with the different actors from this show, the different people, Donald Glover included. All the people on this show, they did kind of like a runway walk. I don't know what it is, some kind of runway, maybe going to the opening premiere of the show, and they do some kind of flyby interviews where they're just walking by and the reporter stops them with a microphone and they talk for a couple minutes. So let's listen to those conversations.
The world has changed, and so have we. I mean, Atlanta is not impervious to the changes that happen in this country, and I think you're definitely going to see that this season. It's like the four of us, we've grown too, and the season is different. We're filming in the fall and winter, which is completely different than we did last time, and the stakes are a lot higher and a lot riskier. So I think this season is definitely going to bring some different twists and turns for our heroes, and you're going to see the humor is still there, but there's still a little bit of darkness that's going on in the underbelly of Atlanta. So we're showcasing that.
I think we're just respectful to the environment and to the characters in the situation and position they're in, and try and treat the world the way it treats them. I think, a lot has changed, but I think for a lot of people at the bottom, maybe things didn't change too much. I think being poor means you're not seeing all the ripple effects from the top all the time. Really, you're just going to see it from your one perspective. So I think we're going to attack it that way and just try and give an honest portrayal of like what it feels like from that perspective.
I think we find the characters in a different place than where we left them in season 1, definitely. But I also think there's something to the idea of everybody's like, oh, Trump's president, it's crazy. But the average person, like day-to-day life, Trump being the president didn't change it that much. So I think we're kind of somewhere in between there.
Mm-hmm. It's more of a mood than literally affecting the characters in the show, and I think it's more of a social atmosphere.
It's just like weirder. It's kind of, I think definitely like the first season touches on a lot of on surreal things, but this one just like the characters are under a lot more pressure, and so when things combust, they burst, and so it's a lot of it's just more.
I think that was the grandioseness of our first season. It's like no one knew that Bieber was going to be a black guy. Nobody knew that there was going to be a talk show. You know what I mean? So it's like we'd like to keep the mystery of the season and the absurdity of what's going on to you guys.
The stakes are definitely raised. It's like Rush Hour 2, We took it up a notch.